Right, I'm going to have a go at making some poor man's Kydex. First of all, I'll show you a couple of bits what I'd made last night. These aren't perfect, but I reckon if I keep practicing, I should get better. So there's a lighter holder. Couple for Zippo lighters, petrol kind of lighters. This one's a little bit more flexible. This one I'd kind of shape the bottom round a bit. Another kind of lighter holder. And a small one for a knife. Now, the things I've used to make this is all ultra cheap. You could probably buy better hardware and make this better, but everything I've used is just cheap, just to keep costs down, and I was just trying it, to be honest. So what I'd used was, now this is all made out of H.D.P.E. Now this one, the black stuff, this was made out of like shower gel bottles. This one, this kind of white stuff, this was H.D.P.E. from, it was a hot chocolate tub. And the blue, this was an oil can, had oil in it, engine oil in it. And also here, this is a talcum powder bottle. Now H.D.P.E, it'll normally say H.D.P.E on it, or if I could show you this, you might be able to see it. I hope you can see this. See that there? It's got a 2 and it says H.D.P.E on it. Now if you want to find it, that's what you're looking for. So the only tools you're really going to need is, this is just for this kind of stuff, because I've found that this stuff is slightly thinner than real Kydex, so it's a little bit easier to cut. So a decent strong pair of scissors or tin snips would be better. Some sort of clamps. Gloves, because it's going to be hot. Now to make the holes, I've been using the hole punch. And to set the eyelets, I've got a really cheap set of brass eyelets and an eyelet setter, but these aren't very good. And what I tend to do is I put one in, clamp it, then I put one back in the other way and clamp it, otherwise they look terrible, because these are the ones that they just split open at one side. Your heat gun is what you're going to need to heat it. If you haven't got a heat gun, I don't think, I'm not 100% sure on this, but I don't think a hairdryer would get hot enough to do it. But you can just put this, potentially put this on a baking tray and put it under the grill. But you might have to have a look into that before you do that. See what other people, how other people heat their Kydex up. Now what I've found with H.D.P.E is once it's heated up, it cools really quickly, so you've got to work quite fast. And I do know that when people do Kydex, they have they make a press. You put it in and it presses it down and it's got foam in it. Well, making these little simple things, you probably don't need to do that. Maybe if you're making a sheath for a knife, you might have to. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to carry on like this for a while. If I still like doing it, or get any better, I may buy the foam or get some foam and make a press so I can do some sheaths. But some of this stuff, this thin stuff, probably would make a sheath, but I don't know, I'd probably want the thickest stuff we could get. And this seems thicker, so that might be a better option. Or just keep looking until you found some really good but not too thick HDPE. Right, so what I might do, I might see if I can just make like a little sheath kind of thing for this little knife. Just a little folding, something to hold, something to put it in, maybe hang it on your neck or whatever. So just put these gloves on. So the heat gun, just going to keep working it over it like this until it gets soft enough to use. I'm going to get everything ready because you've got to work relatively fast. And what I'm going to do is, once I've heated it, I'm just going to wrap it up in this, put it here against this, and then we're going to put a clamp on it. Started slightly turning clear there. Not sure if that's any good, it does that, but right, so get that, wrap that up, but make sure you've got enough overlap this end. Remember to work quite fast. Enough overlap there. I'm just clamping that in there. Probably work a bit with your fingers because this stuff, like I said, it sets fast. If you've got weird shapes, it probably will be slightly better to use foam. Want to clamp that there, you can. But to be honest, I've found most of the time you don't need to. These things seem to dry really, not dry, but set really quick. Hopefully I'd got enough overlap. I'm not sure if I did though. What we'll do also, I'll make a holder for one of these. It's, to be honest, it's slightly easier because these are straight. You only got to get a bend on it and then clamp it there. To be honest, that feels like it's set already. Probably could have been done a little bit better here. So what I might do is I might clamp that in place. And I might heat that up a little bit while it's in there. Like I said, this is where it is better if you've got the foam clamp, because it will clamp it all over it. Because we're just getting it down the sides here more. So now we've got that like that. What I'm going to do is, this is how I do it, hold it in there tight. We're going to trim some of this off at the top, so get where you can. We'll be able to get one of your rivets or whatever. Put one of your rivets in there. And with the bits, you got one with a hole in it, one with like a nipple bit on it. The nipple bit on this side, to squash it down. And you see what I mean? How it just does it like that. So what I do is I get another one and I put it back through there. When you do this, do it the opposite. Put the nipple at the back of it. Once it's through, you want to get something like a small knife and just bend these little bits over. Bend them over slightly, then put your nipple end back in there. And then, doesn't look too bad each side then. So we want one more in this, a bit further down, but we've got to be careful because we're going to cut a fair bit of this off. Like I said, if you've got proper decent rivets or decent eyelets, just use those. Right, now you want your strong pair of scissors or your tin snips, and we're going to trim this off a bit. Depends how thick your stuff is. Now this is the thickest stuff I could find, so this is fairly hard to cut, even with quite a sharp pair of scissors. I'm thinking this end's going to be a lot harder to do. Could shave it off with a knife, I suppose. I might trim this off a little bit more here as well. Right, I've trimmed it off the bottom as well. This one's not come out brilliant. I keep forgetting which way it goes in. With a little bit of practice, I reckon you could get some of these to actually look pretty good if you had a decent press to it as well. Have that hanging on your necklace, whatever. Right, what I'll do now, I'll do a simpler one. I'll do a holder for a lighter. Might be able to make it out of this. It's easier if you're not using a foam press to do just straight things. The Zippo style lighters work easy, and so do these normal kind of lighters. If it's flat, you seem to be able to just sit it straight up against here, have it over, put your other bit of wood against it, clamp it in place, and then do your rivets. Much easier with flat things without your foam press. have it high up on the lighter. You can get that much tighter now. Clamp it if you want to. I don't think you have to when you do HDPE so much. It seems to set so quick. All you got to do is make sure you got the overlap right when you do this bit. I've done it a few times where I've took it off and there's not been enough left to put your rivets or anything in. I suppose you might, if you didn't want actually eyelet holes, you could probably use like leather cap rivets. Beware if you're doing this with red hot plastic on lighters which are filled up. It might be better if you have a lighter what you use which hasn't got any gas in it. Let's have a look. That's got enough on it. So with one like that, if I feel it might be a bit loose, hold it a little bit down further than where you want it. Hold it nice and tight. And then do your holes. You can see how they come out. Put the other one in. And see how it's hanging out. But I found that when you put this back on here with the nipple facing it, it doesn't seem to work properly. So what you need to do is break these over first. Break them over a bit. Just break them over a bit and then it'll work. I suppose you could drill these holes as well if you wanted to. Push that one back out. try it this way. That kind of worked. All you've got to do on this one now, trim it up a bit. So you see how that's how it comes out. It's fairly flexible. This is about the thickest stuff. It's not brittle at all, so it won't break like that. Flexible, which is a good thing. And your lighter can go in there. And then you could wear your lighter on a necklace or whatever. Or have it on a key ring if you do it tight enough. I found these ones like this work better. More surface area, it seems to really cling on good. But it's exactly the same thing. And that was a Lynx shower gel bottle. Right, so there's a few things you can make with H.D.P.E. and a heat gun. What I'll do later on, I'll probably see if I can make an actual press, and if I can find some thick enough H.D.P.E. I might actually make a proper knife sheath, but for that I think I'm really going to have to make a proper press for it. Anyway, cheers for watching. I'll see you later.